Right, can never have too many microfiber towels. My name is Nick Rudder. Welcome to my garage. On this episode, I'm going to be finishing up a project that I started in previous episodes, and that's the restoration of a 20-year-old daily driver. This is a 2004-ish Chevrolet Equinox. In the previous episode, we did a deep cleaning of the windshield, the paint, the front end. Now it's time to use a compound and a polish to make the paint look better. So stay tuned, buckle up. I'm going to get started compounding the hood on this Equinox. Now, when you're looking at this Equinox, you might think it doesn't look too bad overall. I mean, we just washed it, the paint is glossy. However, when you look at it up close, or if you use a light of some sort, even your overhead lights or the flashlight on your phone, you can clearly see all the paint defects that we're going to remove. So first and foremost, there's actually a line in the hood. The owner informed me that this vehicle is parked underneath a vehicle cover. However, this side is actually exposed to the sun. Otherwise, you have some scratches up that are along here. There's swirl marks, there's oxidation. We're going to bring this paint back to life by using a polishing compound. Now, not all polishing compounds are created equal. You have subpar polishing compounds, which are like rocks in a bottle. They actually scour the paint and they're hard to use. And then you have top shelf polishing compounds like a beast compound that is designed to remove the paint defects without instilling its own paint defects. So to apply this, I'm going to use a dual action polisher. This is a cordless unit, and a dual action polisher, it rotates and it oscillates. So with this type of tool, you do not have to worry about burning through the paint or instilling your own swirl marks. This is a very user-friendly machine, but it's also very powerful and very capable. What makes this particular tool unique is that it's a gear-driven dual-action polisher. So most dual-action polishers are a free spinning assembly. There's no tension on the backing plate. With this tool, the benefit of that is that the pad never stops rotating. So if you're putting too much pressure down or if the pad's not flat, it's always going to rotate. And to clearly see the before and after, I'm going to put a tape line down right here. And your tape line doesn't have to look pretty the way you put the tape. I just slap it on there and I call it a day. And I take my compound, and when you see this wool pad, you're probably used to a traditional wool pad like this one right here. The difference is that this is designed for a rotary polisher. This pad is designed for a dual action polisher. So there's a difference and there's a science in pad technology. Take your compound, and I'm going to apply it directly on the face of my pad. And with this being a new pad, I'm going to apply a little bit more compound than I normally would, because the actual pad itself will absorb some of the product. And it's really important to make sure your machine is on the surface flat before you turn it on. So pad on the paint, you can spread it out. And this machine is variable speed, with 1 being the lowest and 6 being the highest. I'm going to be on the 5 setting after I get things turned on. Now, once I spread it out, I'm going to apply about 10 pounds of downward pressure and perform about 5 or 6 slow, overlapping section passes. You don't want to go really fast because then you're just skimming over the paint. You want the fibers in the pad and the abrasives in the compound to engage to actually level the paint. And then don't lift your machine off the paint until the pad has stopped spinning. Now, when you have a brand new wool pad, it's normal for it to shed a little bit. That's acceptable. After you've used it a few times and you've washed it, it's not going to shed, so you won't look like a fur ball. And then take a microfiber towel, and this is what I call a production detail. This is not a show car detail. I'm not trying to enter this into a concours event on the lawns of California. This is just to make this car look shiny. However, I still want to inspect my towel and make sure there's no dirt or debris or metal shavings in it before I wipe off the compound. Take your towel, fold it 4 ways, and the secret to wiping off a compound is to take short, firm strokes, and most compounds will wipe off relatively easily when you do so. Flip your towel, and then continue to wipe it off. So step 1 is to use the compound. Step 2 is to use my graphene 3-in-1 to finish it. However, I can actually inspect the results at this point to make sure my compound is working for me. Now, when you wipe off masking tape, pull at an angle and pull slowly. In the past, I've actually removed paint from the surface on a low-quality aftermarket paint job from not performing this way. So take your time and pull it off slowly. Wow, that is a huge difference, and that's just with the first step. So at this point, I've removed 20 years of dead, oxidized, dull, faded paint, and there's clearly a before and after difference. Now, that's the distinction of image, and that's just with the first step. Stay tuned for the next step, which will be using a graphene 3-in-1 to refine the surface, maximize the gloss even more so, and protect the paintwork. But first, I have to finish polishing this hood before I move on, so stay tuned for more.